Hello, I'm Elizabeth Webb, your yoga lifestyle coach. Today, I'm so excited that we're going to head over to Dr. Joel Kirksbird's office at Riverview Chiropractic office in Watertown. So he's, of course, a chiropractor. I had a conversation with him, and I want to read to you what he has shared with me, what this episode is going to be about. And very excited that we're going to head over there in just a few minutes. So when I was talking to him, he said that he's going to work on my hips, and he's got a stimulation thing that he's been doing and working with the pelvis and just doing some drops on the table. And then we're going to, I can't read his handwriting. I'm so happy you wrote this down for me. He's going to do some motion testing and some traction. And then we'll do, he talked about this radio pulse that he's only had in the office for a couple years. So I'm excited to get over there. But chiropractic, do you know what a chiropractor is? And why do I go to a chiropractor? The reason I go to a chiropractor is because I'm a yogi and I just like having lots of energy. Look at my hands really close. Let's take a close view of these hands here, and I'm going to try to pretend like my hands are the vertebrae in our spine. I'm not a chiropractor, and I'm not sure if I'm telling you this correctly, but this is my view of what happens during a chiropractic adjustment. So typically, there we go. See how the vertebrae is all lined up like perfectly? And when we live life and move, can you see? Do you have a really good close-up of this? Can you see that there's a very, very small movement here? And then we get tired. The subluxation means that the two vertebrae that I'm holding in my hand, as my hand, is out of whack. And the doctor kind of puts it back together, woof, and then, he does that throughout all the vertebrae from the base to the top of the head, or depending on, what I've got going on that day. He'll either work on the neck or the whole spine or part of the spine. And then I just love that flow of energy that I feel when everything becomes in alignment. So let's go over there and let's visit him and let's see what his adjustment is going to be like. Follow me.
All right, good morning. I'm here with Elizabeth Webb, yoga instructor, and today we're going to work on her pelvis. So first thing we're going to do, Elizabeth, is we're going to demonstrate on how we can check and evaluate your pelvis. So would you mind going on your back here on our table?
I don't mind at all.
Okay. So a lot of times patients will come in with pain in the lower back or pain in the legs, pain in the pelvis. And pain can be a good indicator of what's going on, but it really doesn't tell us much, nor do a lot of orthopedic testing. And so one of the ways we assess patients, especially patients that are in the athletic population, is using muscle testing. And so we're going to demonstrate a real quick way to assess what's going on with Elizabeth's pelvis this morning. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to bring your leg up, out, and I'm going to turn your foot in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push your foot this way. Try to resist my motion. Ready? Go ahead and resist. Okay. And then we're going to compare to the other side. Turn in and resist. Now, to you, could you tell a difference between which one was stronger or weaker?
Weaker.
Weaker. I would agree with that. Now, she's very strong, but she might have a little bit of an imbalance in her pelvis that's creating that subtle, hold strong, that very subtle weakness, as you can tell from the demonstration here. Hold that strong. Good. Now, we're going to come back to that But while we're in this position, we can also assess her posterior core. You can go ahead and use the table. We're going to marry your hips to the table, pull your feet up. I'm going to scoop under, try to hold that position. 1, 2, 3, hold. That's pretty sound there. She's real strong. Coming to the other side of the table, I'm going to scoot you this way. And go ahead and hold strong. And there we have a little bit of a weakness. She's having, and you're trying. And to me, that's pretty obvious. Then what we're going to do, we're going to experiment, and we're going to stimulate what's called a mechanoreceptor. And nice and hold strong, and that turns that right on, and she can hold that. So a mechanoreceptor lives inside a joint, and basically when it's stimulated, it's allowing you to stimulate your muscles to function better, stronger. But it's only temporary until we actually move that joint. That will only last about 20 seconds. Hold strong, and now she's weak again. Come back in, we'll stimulate that same mechanoreceptor. Hold strong, and she turns it back on. Kind of crazy, huh? Yeah. So coming back to her pelvis, we experiment with these blocks, and we're just going to change the position of Elizabeth's pelvis. I'm going to have you raise your hip up. There we go. I know it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but bear with me. Raise this one up. I'm going to raise it up a little bit more. And because I've done this a few thousand times, I kind of know the pattern that she's exhibiting. We're going to raise this up, turn this in, hold strong, and hold strong. And now she can hold that very strong. Just to prove a point, we're going to pull our blocks out. The joint is now going back to the same pattern it's been in. Hold strong, and she cannot do that. So that's one really quick way we can assess a patient's pelvis. So what do we know? We know that this ilium has shifted or rotated back this way, because when I put my block in, I'm driving it the opposite way to break her pattern. So that allows her pelvis to be square balanced, if you want to call it square and balanced. On the opposite side, we have a rotation at L4 and L5. That's why when I stimulate her mechanoreceptors at L4, L5, it allows her to function stronger in her posterior core. So as a yoga instructor, you can probably guess why that would be super important to be able to have a strong core, be flexible, and be well balanced. But the same would go for any athlete. The same would go for anybody that's, by athlete, I mean, you could be a gardener. That's an athlete. Or you're picking up your grandkids. That's an athlete. So we want to make sure that you're functioning 100% of your best capability. So now what we do to correct this, we're going to use a really light adjustment today. We're actually going to come back to our blocks. I'm going to roll. And roll. To make sure we're in a correct position, turn in, hold strong. Good, but I think I can even tweak that even better. There we go. Turn in and hold. And now she's holding well. And today we're going to use really light drops in this position just to create motion to break her pattern. A little bit of pressure, you good? We're going to do that just a few times. Good. Pull out. Good. And we're going to give that a chance to settle in to make sure we're not just stimulating your mechanoreceptors, that we actually made a change in the joint. So, in order to make a correction at that L4, L5 joint, what I'm going to ask Elizabeth to do, can you roll on your side toward me? Yeah. We're just going to really gently create a lever system here. Slide in at L4, L5. I'm going to brace her so she doesn't fall off the table. And we're just going to add a little bit of an impulse here. Just nice and gentle. Good. And then we'll go back to your back, please. That feel okay?
Yeah.
Good. And a little traction too, just to make sure we got all of it. And we did. I'm going to traction the other side. Good. Now we're going to let that settle in. A lot of times we'll do stretching with Elizabeth. We'll work on her muscle or soft tissue. But for the sake of the video, we're going to just demonstrate the pelvis here today. And we'll come back. Now we should be able to assess if we made a good change. Hold that really strong. 1, 2, 3, hold. Pretty good. There's still a little bit in there, but I think the soft tissue treatment will help to ameliorate that. Now you can sheet if you want to. Marry your hips. Good. Raise. Hold nice and tight. Nice and strong. 1, 2, 3, go. Good. Let's just check the other side to make sure we're completely balanced here. Turn these up. Hold that strong. Good. And to be thorough, let's check opposite and hold strong. Good. So, in this case, we still have just a little bit here. I would call it just a little bit sloppy. Okay, it's coming on strong neurologically, it's there. I think we might have to work a little bit in the soft tissue. So, would you be up for some radial pulse?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to bring you up. And we're going to go over to your belly now, please. Oops. Short story with radial pulse, Elizabeth. About a year ago, I was at my brother's office. He's a chiropractor in Columbus. And everybody has that point, you know, that little trigger point that just nags them for a long period of time. I've had it for probably 3 years. And even though I was getting adjusted, it would only be temporary where it would feel good. And so my brother brought out the radial pulse machine. And after one session, I felt better than I had in 3 years. And so I knew that day I was going to make a purchase of my radial pulse machine, even if it was just for me. So I have a hunch that if we can get a little soft tissue work on Elizabeth with our radial pulse therapy, we're going to get that last little bit back from our muscle test. So we're going to work right over the iliac crest. So what this machine does, it has it's basically like a percussion instrument, as they call it. And this little instrument will vibrate very quickly, sending shock waves or radial pulse waves into her soft tissue about 35 millimeters deep. Okay? And why that's important is that a lot of our other modalities, they're more designed for subacute or acute injury, more palliative in nature. This penetrates and works chronic injuries, and it works at deep. So we can get as deep as 35 millimeters, which is, in therapy terms, pretty darn deep. And we can change how strong it is, Elizabeth. So if it's a little bit too tender, let me know. What you'll feel is kind of like a tapping sensation as we do this. This is just coconut oil we're using. Make sure it's working. All right. Real easy right across the iliac crest. And is that comfy cozy for you? Great. Usually we go about 1,500 impulses. Today we're going to probably do about 500 because we're doing a pretty small area. And what you'll see a lot of times is a little redness, and that usually will go away after a few minutes. Sometimes patients will have to ice a little. Elizabeth is very tough, so she probably won't have to ice or anything. And we're already up to 500. I'm going to give you 100 more. And we're there. So it's a very fast, efficient way to help to work through those deep trigger points or myofascial adhesions or scar tissue or other things. That looks pretty good. Let's see if we were able to get that last little bit out for Elizabeth. And we'll go on your back one more time, hopefully. Are you practicing today? Are you teaching today?
I just practice. I'm just taking a class today.
Nice. So come back. Let's see if we got that last little bit out. 1, 2, 3, hold. That is as firm as you're going to get. Let's just double check, make sure. 1, 2, hold. That is about as firm as you can get. Let's bring you up and see how you feel. Go ahead and walk around a little bit, just test it out. Hopefully feeling more balanced in the pelvis.
Yeah.
Good, good. So thank you today for letting me demonstrate how to assess and adjust the pelvis. Thank you very much.
All right. As you can see in the waiting room, he has his dynamic fruits and greens, and he is able to provide those according to what's going on, what's happening in your life that you would need more supplementation. And he's got a whole tea area where you can substitute coffee, because we all, yes, sometimes I do too. I try to avoid caffeine, and I'm not really a coffee drinker. But sometimes, you know, we just need that outside stimulation because maybe we're not scheduling enough chiropractic appointments to keep that energy flowing. And then we can reach out to better choices of tea and coffee. He also provides pillows. Oh my gosh. So sometimes we might need a different pillow because we just feel like that might make us better. You are able to use one of his pillows, take it home between adjustments, make sure you keep the covering, the plastic covering on it so that it stays clean. And then if it's not the right pillow for you, you can bring it back and try another pillow until you find one that works for you. I'm so glad that we've had this opportunity to spend some time with my chiropractor. I'm really excited that we were able to visit Dr. Joel. So I like how he asks us to just call him by his first name. And I'm sure he treats all of his patients the way that he treated me today. So that was wonderful information that he gave us. And I feel all nice, and I feel like I'm in good alignment. And I'm just very happy that Dr. Joel takes time and he really hones in on what is going on with me or you, his patients, today. And so he doesn't just do the same adjustment each time I go and see him. He's always analyzing, asking me questions, you know, what's going on. And after he asks me what's going on, then he does his magic. So, today, in my episode here at the studios, remember, I'm Elizabeth Webb, your yoga lifestyle coach, and talking about chiropractic care today, we are going to look at the spine and what are some of the things that we can do between chiropractic adjustments to keep our spine healthy. One of the things that we can do is, come on, sit on the floor. Join me. There's lots of space. And of course, we're so used to sitting on chairs, but just take a minute and sit on the floor. And let's become aware of noticing maybe the inner thighs are tight. And if they're tight, that probably means that we're not engaging the abdominal muscles. When we can engage the abdominal muscles and make the belly stronger than the inner thighs, then the legs can start to open and release, and that can be so beneficial for our spine, because if the belly is strong, we're supporting our lower back muscles. And another thing we can do is a twist. So we can think about the sternum extending upward. Again, we want to have maybe 70% of the effort in the abdomen, because a lot of times when we do this spinal twist, we might think about using the arm strength and pulling with 80% in the arms, and then we forget about our belly. So let's do the twist in the abdomen, 80% of belly strength, maybe 20-30% of arm strength. And let's twist around and let's turn this into a dance. Just move to the other side. And as we reach over behind us with our lower arm, with our back arm behind us, and then the front arm, because we're twisting this way, so I'm calling this the front arm, is on the opposite knee. And then from here, we're able to, again, tap into the core strength so that we're creating this twist from our abdomen. And one more thing we can do for our spine. We elongated it, we twisted it. Now let's go side to side. So let's take our right hand, bring it down to the ground, and then let's bring the left arm up, 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 up. Turn the palm forward. Bring the shoulder blade down the back. Strengthen the upper back. And come over to the side. Drop the head. Bend your elbow. And reach. And now let's do that to the other side. So being aware of all the different ways that we can bend our spine. We elongated it, we twisted it. Oh, yes. And now we're doing a side, we're taking it laterally. And then we can go forward and backward. So let's extend forward by bringing the chest down to the ground. Extend the arms. Make sure the top of the shoulders are not helping. If then it would look like this. And can you see how I'm engaging the top of my arms and the shoulders to get further? No, we want to elongate from the core of the belly. And then the shoulders can relax. Oops, we've got our legs crossed one way. We're doing yoga. And let's cross our legs the other way. And then the hips are happy because we're doing the same pose with our legs crossed two different ways so that the hips receive benefit. And this side that Dr. Joel worked on today, it's usually my very tight side. And I don't know if you can notice, but I'm very happy that that tightness is loosened up. Okay, so now we have to bend backwards. And you could do this one sitting in the chair and just arch your back over the back of the chair. But if you're still on the ground with me, point your fingers towards you and lift your heart up. Oh, yes. And then at the end of any practice, any physical practice, especially yoga, we want to take a moment. And today we're just going to be aware of elongating our spine. We did just get an adjustment, right? And I'm going to press the palms together. And again, we're going to make sure the shoulders are relaxed. So I feel like the shoulder blades are coming towards each other and down a little bit. And then we can just sit here for as long as comfortable. Namaste.